Please, human, help. My mom is trapped in the Sky Hunter's nest, the alien girl begged. The sky above Karis 9 never stayed quiet. Gray clouds moved like slow oceans, broken by flashes of blue lightning far above the floating stone spires. Wind howled through metal structures and alien trees alike. To most species, this planet was a temporary stop at best, a nightmare at worst. To humans, it was just another job. Evan Hale adjusted the collar of his worn pressure jacket and checked the readings on his wrist screen. Radiation was low. Wind speed was high but stable. Gravity was slightly lighter than Earth's, which made walking feel strange, like every step wanted to turn into a jump. Evan had been on Karis 9 for 3 months, mapping mineral deposits for a small human trade company. The work was boring but honest. He liked boring. Boring meant safe. He looked up at the floating spires again. They were massive chunks of rock suspended in the sky by unknown forces. No one had ever fully explained why they floated. Science teams tried. Most failed. Some disappeared. Evan stayed far away from them. Everyone did. The local alien settlements were built low and close to the ground, clustered near energy fields that disrupted airborne predators. The reason was simple and terrifying. Sky hunters. They were living nightmares. Huge flying creatures with wide wings, sharp hooked claws, and eyes that glowed like fire in the clouds. They hunted from above and almost never missed. Evan had seen one only once far away, a dark shape passing in front of the sun. That single moment was enough to convince him to never look up for too long again. He packed the last of his equipment into a cargo crate. His transport ship would arrive in 6 hours. After that, he would leave Karis 9 forever. That was the plan. Then he heard footsteps running across metal plates. Evan turned, surprised. No one ever came near the human camp without warning. A small figure burst out from behind a power generator and nearly crashed into him. She was alien, clearly not human. Short, thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. Her clothes were torn and one sleeve was burned. She was breathing hard, shaking from fear and exhaustion. Evan raised his hand slowly. "Hey, easy, I'm not armed." The alien girl looked up at him, eyes wide. She hesitated like she expected him to attack. Instead, Evan knelt down to her level. "What's wrong?" he asked gently. She swallowed and spoke in broken trade common. "Human, please, help." Evan felt a knot form in his chest. Aliens rarely asked humans for help on Karis 9. Humans were considered weak here, soft, fragile, useful for machines, not danger. "Who are you?" Evan asked. "My name Lyra," she said, her voice trembled. "My mom, she is trapped." Evan frowned. "Trapped where?" Lyra pointed upward. "At the floating spires, at the sky." Evan's stomach dropped. "No," he said quietly before thinking, "that's not possible." "She is there," Lyra insisted, tears forming in her eyes. "The Sky Hunters took her." Evan stood slowly. "Listen to me. Nobody goes near those nests, not humans, not anyone." "I know," Lyra said. "Everyone says it is death." She looked down, then back up at him. "But I ran to you anyway." Evan felt the weight of her words press into him. "Why me?" he asked. Lyra hesitated, then said something that surprised him. "Because humans help children." Evan didn't answer right away. He looked at the horizon, at the clouds, at the distant shapes of spires drifting like silent giants. His mind filled with safety warnings, company rules, survival logic. This was not his problem. He was not a soldier. He was not a hero. He was a survey engineer with bad knees and a schedule to keep. "Where is your settlement?" Evan asked. "Gone," Lyra said softly. "Sky hunters came at dawn, they took some, killed others. My mom hid me. She pushed me away, then they took her." Evan closed his eyes. He had heard stories like this before, always told in quiet voices, always ending the same way. "No rescue, no hope. Other species?" Evan asked. "Did you ask them?" "Yes," Lyra replied. "They said, Sky hunters do not return prey. They said only humans are foolish enough to try." Evan let out a short, humorless laugh. "Foolish," he repeated. The wind howled louder as if the planet itself was listening. Evan turned toward his camp, then back to Lyra. "If I help you," he said carefully, "it might not work." "I know," she said. "I could die." "I know." "You could lose me too," Lyra nodded. "But if you do nothing, my mom will die for sure." Evan rubbed his face. Humans had spread across the stars with better ships and better math, but one thing always followed them: stories. Stories about humans running into fires, into collapsing buildings, into impossible odds because someone was trapped. Evan had grown up hearing those stories. He never thought he would be inside one. "Where is the nest?" he asked quietly. Lyra's eyes widened. "You will help." "I didn't say that," Evan replied. "I said tell me where it is." She pointed toward the largest spire, barely visible through the clouds. "That one," she said. "High, very high." Evan stared at it. His mind began to work, not emotionally but practically. Height, wind, predator behavior, sky hunter vision types. Old reports he had read out of curiosity. He felt fear, real fear. It sat heavy in his chest, but under it was something else. Anger, not loud anger, quiet anger, the kind that asks, "Why is this allowed?" "Do sky hunters hunt by sight?" Evan asked. "Yes," Lyra said. "Heat and movement." Evan nodded slowly. "What about sound?" "They hear, but they trust their eyes more." Evan glanced at his equipment cases: climbing drones, thermal flares. Old mining charges meant to crack stone, not flesh. Emergency gliders never tested in this atmosphere. A terrible plan was forming. "Stay here," Evan said. Lyra grabbed his sleeve. "Please don't leave." "I'm not," he said. "I'm thinking." She let go, watching him with fragile hope. Evan looked up again. Somewhere above, a mother was trapped in a nest built for monsters. The smart choice was to walk away. The human choice was harder. Evan exhaled slowly. "Lyra," he said, meeting her eyes, "if we do this, you listen to everything I say. No running, no shouting, no fear moves." "I can do that," she said quickly. Evan gave a small, tired smile. "Good," he said, "because humans aren't strong like sky hunters." He turned toward his equipment. "But we are very bad at giving up." High above them, clouds shifted. Something moved in the sky, and far away, unseen, predators circled. The wind grew stronger as Evan worked. Metal cases lay open across the camp floor. Cables, drones, batteries, flares, and tools were spread out in careful lines. Evan moved slowly, checking each item twice. His hands shook a little, but his thoughts stayed clear. Lyra sat near the edge of the camp, hugging her knees. She watched Evan with wide eyes, trying to understand what a human did when facing death. Evan spoke while he worked, not because Lyra needed to hear it, but because he did. "Sky hunters hunt heat and panic," he said. "They expect prey to run or freeze." Lyra nodded. "They always win." "Not always," Evan replied. "They win because no one changes the rules." He picked up a small climbing drone and tested its grip. The machine clicked softly, its metal claws opening and closing. "These drones were built to climb unstable rock," Evan continued. "They can hold my weight if I don't rush." Lyra tilted her head. "Why do you speak like you are teaching?" Evan paused, then smiled faintly. "Because if I panic, I die. If I explain, my brain stays busy." She seemed to understand that. Evan attached thermal dampeners to his jacket. They were old and unreliable, but better than nothing. Then he packed sound emitters and timed flares into a small harness. "This is not a rescue team," he muttered. "This is a bad idea held together by hope." Lyra stood. "You still help?" "Yes," Evan said quietly. "I still help." Above them, the floating spire loomed closer now that they were moving toward it. It was massive, its surface rough and broken, with pieces drifting slowly away and snapping back like they were tied by invisible strings. The base of the spire was surrounded by open air. No bridges, no platforms. Evan deployed the first drone. It shot forward, cables spinning, and locked onto the rock with a sharp clang. Evan tested the line. It held. He swallowed. "Stay here," he told Lyra. no matter what." "I will," she promised, fear shining in her eyes. Evan stepped onto the lift harness and activated the drone climb system. The cables tightened, pulling him upward. The ground dropped away. Every instinct screamed at him to stop. The wind pushed hard against his body, making him spin slightly as he rose. The spire's surface rushed closer, filling his view with cracks and sharp edges. Evan forced himself to breathe slowly, one move at a time. The first drone anchored. The second followed. Evan climbed using his boots and hands, trusting human engineering more than his fear. Minutes passed. Then the air changed. It grew warmer. Evan froze. Heat meant life. Life meant danger. He activated the thermal dampeners and pressed himself close to the rock, slowing his breathing. He scanned the sky. At first he saw nothing. Then a shadow crossed the clouds. Large, silent. A sky hunter circled far above. Evan's heart hammered. Don't move, don't glow. Don't run. The creature drifted past, its wings barely moving. Evan stayed still until his muscles burned. When the shadow vanished, he continued climbing. Higher and higher until the sky darkened and clouds wrapped around the spire like fog. Visibility dropped. Wind screamed through narrow gaps, trying to tear him loose. Evan lost track of time. His arms ached. His legs trembled. His fear came and went in waves. Then he heard it. A sound like tearing metal mixed with a deep, living breath. He looked up. The nest. It clung to the side of the spire like a massive scar. Twisted bone, stone, and woven debris formed a platform wide enough to land on. Heat readings spiked on his scanner. Too many. Evan whispered, "I see it." Lyra's voice came through the calm, thin but steady. "Is my mom there?" "I don't know yet," Evan said, "but I'm close." As if the nest heard him, something moved inside. A juvenile sky hunter crawled to the edge, smaller than the adults but still huge. Its eyes glowed faintly as it sniffed the air. Evan's blood ran cold. The creature tilted its head, sensing something wrong. Evan slowly activated a sound emitter and tossed it away from the nest. It bounced across the rock and began pulsing low vibrations. The juvenile hissed and turned, distracted. Evan moved. He climbed sideways, staying below the nest line using shadows and broken rock. Sweat soaked his clothes. Then the wind shifted. His thermal dampener flickered. The juvenile sky hunter snapped its head toward him. It screamed. The sound shook the air. Evan did not think. He threw a flare. Light exploded between them, blinding white and burning hot. The creature recoiled, shrieking, wings flailing. Evan climbed faster than he thought possible. Above him, the nest shook as something massive moved inside. An adult sky hunter roared. The sound carried for kilometers. Evan reached a narrow ledge just beneath the nest and pressed himself flat. "Lyra," he said into the calm, voice tight. "If this goes bad—" "No," she interrupted. "You promised." Evan closed his eyes. "I'm still here," he said. "I'm not done." The adult sky hunter emerged. It was enormous. Wings spread wide, claws gripping the nest structure. Its eyes burned with heat-sight fury as it scanned the area. It did not understand what it saw. Prey did not climb. Prey did not approach nests. Prey did not fight gravity and storms to reach monsters. Confusion slowed it. Evan used that moment. He activated another emitter, then another, creating false heat signals in different directions. The adult snapped at shadows, roaring in anger. Evan moved closer to the nest. Inside, he heard something else. A voice, weak, pained, alive. "Help," it whispered. Evan's chest tightened. "She's alive," he whispered to himself. The juvenile returned, limping but angry. Evan stood. He was visible now. Small, fragile, human. The juvenile lunged. Evan triggered a mining charge, not toward the creature but toward the nest's support beam. Stone cracked. The nest tilted. The sky hunters screamed as balance shifted. Evan leapt to the nest edge, grabbing bone and fiber, pulling himself inside as chaos erupted around him. Behind him, the adult roared again, but it did not attack. It hesitated, because something had changed. For the first time, prey had come to them, and that scared the sky itself. The inside of the nest was darker than Evan expected. Light barely reached through the tangled bones, broken rock, and woven metal scraps that formed the walls. The air was warm and heavy, filled with the smell of blood, heat, and something wild. Every sound echoed, making the space feel alive and watching. Evan pulled himself fully inside and froze. He was not alone. 3 juvenile sky hunters crouched deeper in the nest. Their wings were half-grown, their claws sharp but clumsy. They hissed, confused and angry, eyes glowing as they locked onto him. Evan's heart slammed against his ribs. He did not move. Running would trigger them. Attacking would bring the adult. So he did the most human thing possible. He spoke. "Easy," he said softly, even though they could not understand his words. "I don't want you." The juveniles shifted, uncertain. No prey had ever spoken before. Evan slowly activated a heat decoy and rolled it behind him. The device pulsed warmly, brighter than his own body. The juveniles turned toward it, drawn by instinct. Evan backed away, deeper into the nest. That was when he saw her. Lyra's mother lay trapped beneath a heavy piece of broken nest structure. Her wings were damaged, one bent at a wrong angle. Her breathing was shallow, but her eyes were open. Alive. Evan swallowed hard. He moved toward her carefully, stepping over debris. She looked at him with fear and confusion. "A human?" she whispered weakly. "Yes," Evan replied. "Your daughter sent me." Her eyes widened. "Lyra is alive. She's waiting," Evan said, "and we're going to get you out." The woman tried to move and cried out in pain. Evan knelt beside her. He examined the debris pinning her down. It was heavy but unstable. "I need you to stay still," he said. "I'll lift this slowly." The nest shook. Outside, the adult sky hunter roared again. Evan ignored it and focused. He placed a small stabilizing charge against the structure, set to release pressure instead of explode. Human mining tech was flexible. It had to be. He activated it. The debris shifted upward just enough. Evan pulled. Pain flared through his arms and back, but he did not stop. He lifted and dragged until the woman was free. She gasped, clinging to him. "You are very small," she whispered. Evan let out a breathless laugh. "Yeah, we get that a lot." The juveniles screeched. The heat decoy burned out. They turned back. "Time to go," Evan said. He helped her to her feet. She could barely stand, leaning heavily on him. The adult sky hunter landed on the nest. The impact shook everything. Bones cracked. Stones shifted. The sky screamed. The massive creature thrust its head inside, eyes blazing, jaws opening wide. Evan stood between it and the woman. He should have been terrified, he was, but fear did not control him. He activated every remaining flare and sound emitter at once. Light exploded. Noise thundered. Heat signatures filled the nest in impossible directions. The adult sky hunter reeled back, roaring in confusion. It snapped at false targets, claws tearing into empty air. The juveniles panicked, scrambling away. Evan did not attack. He advanced, step by step, toward the adult. The creature hesitated. No prey had ever done this. Evan raised his arms wide, making himself bigger, louder, brighter. "Back," he shouted, even though it could not understand. But the message was clear. This thing was not running. The adult sky hunter took a step back. Just one. It was enough. Evan turned and guided Lyra's mother toward the exit. The nest groaned as the mining charges weakened its structure. Wind tore through the gaps. Evan secured a glider harness around both of them. "This will be rough," he said. "Hold on to me. Do not let go." She nodded, trusting him without question. Evan reached the edge of the nest. Below them was open sky. Far below, the adult sky hunter roared again, furious now, lunging forward. Evan jumped. The glider deployed with a violent snap. Air rushed past them as they dropped, then slowed into a wide, shaking glide. The nest collapsed behind them. Bone and stone broke free, falling into the clouds. The adult sky hunter did not follow. It circled once, then pulled away, retreating into the storm. Evan laughed in disbelief, tears blurring his vision. "We're alive," he whispered. They descended through clouds and wind until the ground rushed up. The glider slammed hard into rocky soil near the camp. Evan hit the ground and rolled, protecting the woman with his body. Silence followed, then footsteps. "Mom!" Lyra ran toward them, crying openly. She dropped to her knees, wrapping her arms around her mother. "You came back," Lyra sobbed. "I told you," her mother said weakly. "Humans help children." Evan lay on his back, staring at the sky, chest rising and falling fast. Other alien figures appeared at the edges of the camp. Survivors, watchers. Word had spread through emergency channels. They stared at Evan like he was something new, something dangerous, something impossible. Lyra looked at him. "You scared the Sky Hunter." Evan sat up slowly. "No," he said, "I confused it." "What is the difference?" she asked. Evan smiled tiredly. "For predators," he said, "confusion is fear." Above them, the clouds shifted. The sky felt quieter. The sky over Karis 9 felt different the next morning. The clouds were still gray. The wind still sang through metal and stone, but something invisible had changed. The floating spires drifted in silence, and no dark shadows circled above them. Evan Hale woke up on a med mat inside his camp shelter. Every muscle in his body hurt. His arms felt like stone. His head rang softly like distant thunder. For a long moment he wondered if everything had been a dream. Then he heard soft voices. He opened his eyes. Lyra sat beside the bed, her feet not touching the floor. Her mother rested nearby, wrapped in healing fabric, her breathing steady and calm. Both of them were alive. Evan let out a long breath. "You're still here," he said. Lyra smiled, wide and bright. "So are you." Her mother stood slowly and stepped closer. She bowed her head, placing one hand over her heart. "My name is Sierra," she said. "I live because you climbed where no one else would." Evan tried to sit up and failed. "You should thank gravity," he said. "It almost didn't." Sierra smiled softly. "Our people will speak your name for generations." Evan frowned. "Please don't do that." Lyra tilted her head. "Why not?" "Because I'm not special," Evan replied. "I just didn't walk away." Word spread fast. By midday, representatives from nearby settlements arrived. Different species, different shapes, all with the same expression, confusion mixed with awe. They had watched the feeds. They had seen a human climb into a Sky Hunter nest and return alive. That was not supposed to be possible. An elder from the stone-skinned Wraith collective stepped forward. "Human Evan Hale," the elder said, voice low and careful. "Why did you do this?" Evan thought for a moment. "Because a kid asked me," he said simply. The elder blinked. "That is not a strategic reason." "No," Evan agreed. "It's a human one." Silence followed. Then the elder spoke again. "The Sky Hunters have changed their migration paths. They avoid this region now." That caused murmurs among the gathered aliens. "They fear you?" someone asked. Evan shook his head. "No, they fear uncertainty." He looked up at the spires. "I didn't defeat them. I just showed them that humans don't act like prey." That idea spread faster than any signal. Across Karis 9, Sky Hunters adjusted their routes. Nests were moved farther away from settlements. Attacks dropped. Survival rates increased. The predators had learned something new. Some prey did not run. Human ships began arriving days later, not warships, not fleets. Rescue ships, engineers, medics, builders. When asked why humans were coming to a dangerous world, the answer was always the same. Because people live here. Evan stood at the edge of the camp a week later, fully healed but still sore. His transport ship waited behind him, engines warming. Lyra and Sierra stood in front of him. "You are leaving?" Lyra asked, trying to sound brave. "Yes," Evan said. "But humans are good at coming back." Sierra placed a small, woven token in his hand. "This marks you as family to my people." Evan held it carefully. "Thank you." Lyra hugged him suddenly and tightly. "If another Sky Hunter comes," she said, "I will tell them about you." Evan laughed. "That might be worse than a weapon." He boarded his ship and took one last look at the sky. High above, the spires drifted, empty. As the ship lifted off, Evan sent a short report to human space. Summary. On distant worlds, alien leaders adjusted their views. Humans were not the strongest. They were not the fastest. They were not the most numerous. But when someone was trapped, humans climbed. Stories followed about a human who walked into radiation storms to pull strangers out. About humans who landed on burning moons to rescue miners they had never met. About humans who stood between children and monsters without weapons, only will. And on Karis 9, the Sky Hunters remembered. They remembered light where fear should be, noise where silence ruled. A small figure that did not flee. Somewhere in their instinct, a new warning existed. Do not nest where humans can climb. Evan Hale never called himself a hero, but across the stars, a simple truth spread. When the sky itself becomes the enemy,